Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Impact Review for the 2nd of March, 2021. Can't believe we're already in March. Good gosh. Not a bad show. Not a right home about it show either. Although I've had struggles with. I was really into the show for a while, and then they're just doing things that I don't necessarily agree with. I still would say Impact for most weeks is better by far than Raw or SmackDown, which is huge to say with the talent disparage that they have. Anyway, jumping into the show here, James Storms with Chris Sabin defeats Rahet Raju with Shira in a BTI match. They showcase the meetings between N-Juice and the Good Brothers, who are teaming up as they face Triple XL and Reno Scum, and they uh, kind of defeat that event, and they also show Moose defeating Jake Something for the TNA World Championship, which reinstating that belt is just dumb. Ace Austin, Madman Fulton defeats Black Taurus and Chris Bay in an X Division #1 contenders match. Right move here. They all teamed up last week. Trey Miguel, Josh Alexander, Willie Mack were their opponents. They advanced to the match. Match sees Bay and Austin team up a bit against Taurus, and he goes off on both of them. Austin and Bay manage to handle things pretty well until uh, they take out Taurus with a double dive. Taurus out Bay and Austin. They go at it, and they do amazing train wrestling. I think that Ace Austin is the best talent they have in Impact right now, and I felt that way for a while. I hope that they finally go to the point of giving him the championship at some point. Uh, Bailey takes control. Taurus comes back in, and he turns up the wrestling. Austin and Bay go at it for a couple more minutes each, and they kind of go back and forth with Taurus along the way here. Taurus catches Bay's plancha and turns it into a suplex, and um, gets hit with a missile drop kick, or hits both guys with a missile drop kick. Finish sees Austin and Bay take out Taurus once again, and Bay's about to finish on Austin, but Madman Fulton held his foot, allowing Austin to hit the fold for the win. Decent match, and Taurus does look pretty dominant, which is good because they're trying to get new people over. Austin TJP for the X Division title is set for sacrifice. Hopefully, that is a return to the belt for Austin, but I'm guessing not. Gia Miller interviews Jazz and Jordana Grace about becoming the #1 contenders to the Women's Tag Team Championship. They're talking about ODB's attack last week. Fire and Flavor approached them and basically told them to focus on them, not ODB. Grace said she talked to Dia Moore and invite Hogan to her match tonight with Deanna Perrazzo. Backstage, Myers finds Cardona and basically trying to make nice with him. Uh, Cardona is the referee in Myers' match with Eddie Edwards tonight. After all, Cardona told him he'd call it down the middle. I assume there's a heel turn here as I'm watching this. D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker, the best announced team. And I'd say Shivani and Ross, but they got to get rid of Excalibur first over on AEW. And they talk about Hogan versus Grace versus Perazzo at a later point. Tennille Dashwood with Caleb with a K defeats Havoc. Why they're using Caleb Connolly in this role, I don't understand. Match is booked during before Impact or whatever the heck that new streaming deal is called. Dashwood has been messing around with Havoc for a while. Match sees Havoc basically use her power and dominate early. She blocks just about everything Dashwood tries to do, turns it into a power move for herself. Caleb helps Dashwood eventually and uses an elbow to the back of the head that rocked Havoc and gets her cut off after some minutes of kind of warring. Dashwood works over Havoc's neck. Havoc gets Dashwood off of her, hits some offense, and Caleb distracts her again near the finish, giving Dashwood the opportunity to hit the spotlight for the win. Not the way I would go. Waste of Havoc, but I don't really see anything in Dashwood, so it is what it is. Um, After the match, Nevaeh comes down, saves Havoc from being beaten up by Caleb and Dashwood. Nevaeh takes out Caleb with her DDT. Promo from Sami Callihan, which just feels flat at this point. Sami in CZW and Indies was good. Sami post NXT, except for a little bit of work with the Tessa Blanchard thing a few years ago, has just really fallen flat. He says he is broadcasting from Skull and Bone School. That's where Trey Miguel apparently trains. He talked trash about Miguel and beats up some staff, trashes the building. He says he's going to recruit some of Miguel's students before leaving. I don't know. I don't see where the amount of push that Sami Callihan gets is warranted. TJP's hanging out in Swingers Paradise. Ace Austin confronts him and tells him to not bet against him. Chris Bay comes out of nowhere and accuses Austin of winning only because Fulton helped him. TJP tricked them into a match between them, and that's that. We get a promo from Violet by Design. Young says he's punishing Diener for failing to take out Jake Something in a tables match. Still, Jake Something is a horrible name. And he says he already asked for Behind the Wall. Joe Doring beats up Diener, who had to drag himself out. Diener accepts his punishment. This is just AEW commercial time. Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone promoting Dynamite and Revolution. Khan put Impact over a bit, saying that Impact and New Japan are all on the same team, but AEW is now calling the shots. Khan hypes up Shaq and Paul Wright's debut tomorrow on Dynamite. Moose cuts promo talking about how he has held the World Championship for months and defends the title even if no one considered it a real championship. He said he's got nothing against Rich Swann, but that he's the recognized Impact World Champion, so he had to beat him up, and to make it clear he's the real champion. Really good promo here. I like what they're doing with Moose most of the time. Moose is a really talented guy. Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows, and Finn Juice, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay defeat Triple XL, AC Romero, Larry D, and Reno Scum, Luster the Legend, and Adam Thornstone. I don't understand why you're doing this particular match, but it is what it is. I hate 6-mans, 8-mans, and all that. I've made that clear before. Finn Juice has aligned with the Good Brothers, so I guess from a storyline perspective it makes sense. Match sees Finn Juice and the Good Brothers dominate early. There's some tension-based tags there, so eventually they're probably going to go at it at some point down the road. They're basically playing a game of can you top this against lesser opponents. They're focused on each other, that they allowed Reno Scum to cut off Finlay and separate him from his corner. Robinson and Good Brothers keep racing each other to tag, and that's where that goes. They take the pin, which ends up being Gallows, who hits the Magic Killer along with Anderson for the win on Thornstone. It really was a squash and shows disparage of kind of, the differences in the levels of teams, which I'm not sure you want to do, what with the potential for NXT to go to Tuesdays. I mean, Impact's going to lose some viewers from that, I would assume. So after the match, Finjuice and Good Brothers have a stare down. They're obviously on some sort of collision course video package with Rich Swann talking about Moose, who's a fake world champion apparently, and he's walking around with a dead title. He says he knew Moose was stronger and faster, but that he didn't have Swann's fire or determination. Backstage, Good Brothers and Finjuice argue about that they lost the match because of Anderson and Gallows. Anderson said they should go back to carrying their bags, and Finlay replies that they would eventually be carrying the tag team titles, meaning him and Juice. Gallows made the challenge to make it happen at Sacrifice. That will be a really fun and good match. Eddie Edwards defeats Brian Myers via DQ, which, I don't know, just kind of feels sort of flat. Edwards and Myers have been going at it for a while. Story of the match is that Cardona calls the match right down the middle, much to the chagrin of Myers, who expected their friendship, would give him an advantage. Myers is annoyed with the call down the middle. Myers loads up his elbow pad and hits the roster cut lariat for the pin, but Cardona saw him cheat and disqualifies him. Edwards has a pretty strong match here, but gets cut off by Myers. Myers works him over for a couple of minutes, makes a comeback. They started chasing and, trading finishers. Brown and Striker run down Sacrifice Card, Moose and Swann, Good Brothers and Finjuice, Ace Austin, TJP, and for next week, Chris Bay and Ace Austin and Desi Hit Squad and Beer Guns. The Sacrifice pay-per-view actually looks intriguing, so it proves to me that they can put together a payoff. I don't think they can put together weekly TV that's really good, and I mean, I would assume, again, the announcement that NXT is probably moving to Tuesdays after WrestleMania, to me, that indicates, like, oh gosh, this is insane, like to compete if you're Impact, probably not the best of ideas. Anyway, Knockout champion Deanna Purrazzo with Kimberly and Susan defeats Jordana Grace with Jazz, and Knockouts Tag Team Champion Kiera Hogan with Tasha Steelz on a non-title three-way match. Why are we doing three-ways? Anyway, basically, heels team up to go after each other, or to go after Grace, and Grace is the only babyface in the match, and she's currently feuding with both parties. Heels quickly do end up fighting with each other because egos reign. Match was an interesting clash of styles. Hogan's speed, Grace's power, and Purrazzo's technical ability. Everything is highlighted here. And basically, it was all three women in the match. The majority of the match. There's a three-way striking exchange. Brawl breaks out, and Grace takes them all out with a big plancha. Near falls, Purrazzo chasing the armbar throughout, and Purrazzo steals the win with a roll-up on Grace after the missed Vader bomb on Hogan because Steelz had pulled her off. Match was really good. Grace and Jazz brawl with fire and flavor to the back, but ODB came down, took out Purrazzo, and made her intentions clear that she wanted the match for the championship, and we close from there. We'll be back with more right after this.